For this section, we want to divide. To divide, you can use long division, or sometimes if you're dividing by a monomial, you can just split it up and divide. So like for this one, we're dividing by a monomial, so we can just take each piece apart. And if you can do that without writing it down, it's fine. So then you divide. 9 divided by 3 gives us 3. A squared divided by A is A. 3A divided by 3A is 1. So if you're dividing by a monomial, just break up each piece. That's the easiest thing to do. So like for this one, same thing. You're dividing by a monomial, so take each piece and divide by that monomial. But remember, you have to do each piece. You can't just, cross out this and not the rest of it. So everything gets divided by the AB. So simplify that. We have A squared divided by A is A. B squared divided by B is B. Plus the 4 stays. A squared divided by A is A. The B's here would cancel. Plus the 6 stays. A's cancel. B squared divided by B is B. Minus the 10 stays, and the A and B cancels. So when you have monomials, it's a little bit, simple. You just divide each piece by the monomial. When you do not have a monomial, if you're not dividing by a monomial, then it makes it where you have to do long division. So, just like with numbers, you have x plus 2 divided into x squared minus x plus 4. So, you do the same thing just like if you divide, 5 into 8. It goes one time or whatever. You do the same thing. What times x gives you x squared? It's an x. Then multiply x times x is x squared. And x times 2 is 2x. Then you subtract, just like on long division. X squared minus x squared goes away, and you make sure you subtract. Negative x minus 2x is negative 3x. And then you drop this down. So the biggest mistake on these is not carrying the minus across, so make sure you don't lose the negative. So what times x gives you a negative 3x? Well, negative 3. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times 2 is minus 6. Again, you're going to subtract. So you got negative 3x minus negative 3x, which is negative 3x plus 3x, so those cancel. And 4 minus negative 6 is 4 plus 6, so you get 10. So just like with long division, that is your remainder. So you write your answer as this, x minus 3, because we can't go any further. We can't do 10, an x, and make it a 10. There's no way. So without just writing a fraction, which is what we're going to do. So you write x minus 3 plus your remainder 10 over x plus 2. And you can check these. If you multiply things back out, if you do this times x plus 2, it'll give you x squared minus x plus 4. So it's just like long division with numbers, except it's with variables. So generally these look harder than maybe what they are. So this one, x minus 1 into 4x to the 4th minus 4x cubed plus 2x squared. Now this one, it gives you each exponent. If there's an exponent missing, so we go 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, then you want to fill it in, because it makes life easier if you fill it in with zeros, just so you don't lose something, which on the next one I'll do that. So to get an x to turn into 4x to the 4th, you do 4x cubed. 4x cubed times x is 4x to the 4th. 4x cubed times minus 1 is minus 4x cubed. We're going to subtract. 4x to the 4th minus 4x to the 4th cancels. Negative 4x cubed minus negative 4x cubed turns positive and it cancels. So get a 0 here. So you're going to drop down 2x squared. And if you end up with nothing here, you need to drop down two things here. So you got to do minus 2x as well. If you had something left here, an x cubed, then we've got a binomial, so we need a binomial, so you would have stopped there. But since we ended up with 0, we drop down our next two terms. How do you turn x into 2x squared? You multiply by 2x. So 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times negative 1 is minus 2x. Again, we're going to subtract. 2x squared minus 2x squared cancels. Negative 2x minus negative 2x is positive, it cancels. And we left with 0, and we only have one thing left to drop down. So there's nothing else to drop down, so we're just left with a negative 1. So again, there's our remainder. So your answer will be 4x cubed plus 2x minus 1 over x minus 1. So for the next one here, we have 2x plus 5. And this one happens to work out nicely, but I'm going to go ahead and add in the zeros because sometimes it won't work out so nicely and you have to add in zeros. So we have 2x to the 5th plus 5x to the 4th. You don't have any cubes, so write it in with a 0. No squares, no to the first. So we just write them all in with zeros, and then we have a minus 1. So to turn 2x into 2x to the 5th, you multiply by x to the 4th. X to the 4th times 2x is 2x to the 5th. X to the 4th times 5 is 5x to the 4th. So this one, like I said, it works out nicely. They don't always do that. 2x to the 5th minus 2x to the 5th cancels. 5x to the 4th minus 5x to the 4th cancels. You're left with 0. So if you drop these down, they're all zeros. So actually you can only drop down a negative 1 and you're just done. So now generally that's not going to happen. Because usually you'll have something left over here and you'll have to use these zeros. But anyway, so your remainder is negative 1, so that one, your answer is x to the 4th minus 1 over 2x plus 5. So on this last one I have where you need the zeros because they actually come in handy. So this x cubed plus y cubed divided by x plus y. This is actually going to give us the sum of cubes formula. If you remember the sum of cubes formula, it is equal to x plus y times x squared minus xy plus y squared. So our answer, if we take x cubed plus y cubed divided by x plus y, this should be your answer, which it will be. Because if we just divide this over, that's what we're left with. So that's the sum of cubes formula. So to do that, using two variables with the exponents, you've got x cubed. So one variable needs to go down and one needs to go up. So x cubed, we need a cube square, 1, 0, and then the y cubed counts up. So 0, 1, 2, and then 3. So we have x cubed plus 0x squared y. Since it's not there, we're going to do it with a 0, plus 0, x are counting down, x, y is counting up, y squared, plus y cubed then. So to make an x cubed, you multiply by x squared. X squared times x is x cubed. X squared times y is x squared y. So you see here, this is where this comes in handy, writing them in with zeros. Subtract. I've got x cubed minus x cubed cancels. 0 minus 1 gives us a minus x squared y squared, or x squared y, sorry. And then drop this one down. How do you make an x into a negative x squared y? You multiply by you've got an x, you need 2, so you got to multiply a negative x and then a y. Negative xy times x is negative x squared y, and negative xy times y is negative xy squared. Want to subtract? Negative x squared y minus negative x squared y is a negative, turns to plus and then cancels. 0 xy squared minus negative xy squared. Minus the negative makes it a positive, so I get xy squared. And drop down my y cubed. How do you turn x into xy squared? Well, you've already got the x, so you just need to multiply by y squared. Y squared times x is xy squared. Y squared times y is y cubed. Subtract. Xy squared minus xy squared cancels. Y cubed minus y cubed cancels. My remainder is 0. What is my answer? It is what I said it should be, x squared minus xy plus y squared. So you can see how adding in your zeros makes this one a lot easier, because if you don't add in those zeros, you lose things here. Because if you didn't add this in, you would have this. You would have this here, and you have to subtract. You're subtracting it from 0, and a lot of people forget that if they don't write it in with a 0, and then they get stuck. So make sure if you have these, just write in the missing exponents with zeros.